Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another transfer roundup video. Today we're going to kick it right off with some big news for you Arsenal fans, including myself. Very excited at the prospect of signing one of the best strikers around these days, and that is of course Lacazette from Olympique Lyon. I don't know if this is actually going to happen, but it seems to be progressing. There seems to be a lot of news and media outlets out there saying that the deal is certainly on and that he could be an Arsenal player within the next few days. But I don't believe any of it. I refuse to believe any of these things until I see the player in the Arsenal shirt. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I really feel like if this happens, it's a fantastic signing for Arsenal. The exact type of signing we've needed for a while, especially if Alexis is going to be leaving. So obviously they lost the final, the Confederation Cup final at the weekend, Chile. And, you know, Alexis has said that he will tell us what he's planning to do after that. I haven't seen that yet. He hasn't said anything just yet, but I just have that sneaky feeling that he's going to be moving on and he will want to move to Bayern or probably Man City by the looks of it. But there's still an element of hope there. I still think that there's a possibility he'll say, no, I'm going to stay for one more season. But if he's staying for one more season, we still need to sign him up on a contract. Otherwise, he's going to leave for free next summer, which would be a travesty. So the way I see it is, if Alexis goes, Lacazette should be coming in. If Alexis stays, Lacazette should be coming in. It should be happening regardless. It will be a fantastic signing. He is a very Arsenal-esque player, if you ask me. He's just that typical French striker that Arsenal have had. You know, you think of Thierry Henry, of course, and even Ian Wright, who of course is English, but very similar to Lacazette. You know, that kind of quite small, agile player, great finisher. So I would love to see this happen. But there are some other players linked. Yes, okay, before you start laughing, non-Arsenal fans and Arsenal fans, because I agree, this is completely, probably ridiculous, but we have been linked with Mbappe once again, and apparently Arsenal are prepared to make an offer of £125 million. I mean, come on, this is Arsenal we're talking about, and I would say the biggest prospect in the world of football right now. We've got Mbappe, who looks to be, you know, the real deal, so to speak. We see these young players come and go. They have great potential, but they don't quite make it. I think Mbappe really is the real deal, like I said. And if he goes to a team like Real Madrid, he's not going to play, is he? He's not going to play week in, week out. If he stays at Monaco, he's just going to get better. But is the competition there good enough? You know, compared to, say, playing with a Premier League side where you're going to get that bit more of experience playing in a much more competitive environment, I don't think that argument is valid anymore. I think the French League is actually getting better and better. So this is just another one of those weird things that I just don't believe for a second. If Arsenal were willing to spend £125 million, you'd bet your ass it wouldn't be on one player. They would spread that money. They would split it into multiple signings to improve the core of the team. That's how I imagine it anyway. But I'm putting this out there. It could happen. You just don't know. It's very unlikely. But Mbappe to Arsenal, I've heard of crazier things. He kind of is that Arsenal player. You know, like, you know, the young French player. He would play every game. He would get into that first team. And I think Arsene Wenger has probably said that to him and his agent. You know, if you go to Madrid, you're not going to play. If you come to Arsenal, we will play you week in, week out. But we don't have Champions League. We're not going to be winning the Premier League anytime soon, or the Champions League for that matter. Why would he join Arsenal? He is actually better off staying at Monaco. I really do feel that way. But of course, if he's willing to make that jump and come to Arsenal, and we're willing to pay the money, do it, because he will be a future star, and getting him at Arsenal would be just incredible. It's a statement, isn't it? Now, his teammate Lemar, out on that left wing, had a fantastic season, has also been linked to many different clubs, but Arsenal seems to be there. It seems to be either we're going for Lacazette, Mbappe or Lemar. It seems to be these three targets, all French, all young players. Well, Lacazette's kind of hitting his prime, I would say, but Lemar is, I think, an interesting subject. I feel like he would come in if Alexis goes, if that makes sense. I'm not saying they're like for like. You know, Alexis has played as a striker a lot for Arsenal, especially last season, but Lemar is definitely more of that player that drifts out wide, cuts inside, sits behind the striker. But maybe Wenger sees him as, you know, a like-for-like swap for Alexis. Who knows? Lemar has played up front in the past. I don't think very regularly, but maybe he feels like he could do a job there. I remember when we were looking at Draxler and he was saying how he could see Draxler being a striker. Maybe it's that type of situation where he sees a midfielder and thinks, you'd be great up front. He's done it before, why not now? I think, personally, Lemar would be the least required target. I think we do need a striker. I don't think Lemar would actually bring as much to the team as Mbappe or Lacazette would. And I think out of the three, I'd personally be going with Lacazette just because he's been there and done that. He's a prolific scorer already. He's in his prime. I think that there wouldn't be too much of an adjustment for him coming to Arsenal, whereas I think Mbappe, if he got off to a poor start, you know, he starts losing that hype around him, things can happen. I think Lacazette would just hit the ground running and join the squad and do really well from the start. But then again, Mbappe is a future signing. Imagine if he stayed at the club until he retired. You're going to get your money's worth out of him, aren't you? So, little bit of an interesting start to the video. That's 3 rumours. We're now going to move over to some confirmed transfers. The first one is Gonalons from Lyon to Roma. I didn't see this coming. Gonalons, I think a couple of seasons ago, was, you know, really seen as one of the better midfielders in the French league, and he was, you know, 20, 30 million plus, but he's actually moved to Roma this week. It's going to be confirmed at the end of the week. He's actually going to join up with the squad. It's only going to be 5 million euros. My head is blown. Gonalons, he may be, I think, 28 now, maybe 29, still has many years left in his career. He's still a fantastic player, and he's moved for £5 million or euros, sorry. That, I mean, it's crazy. It really is absolutely mad to me that a player of that quality can go so cheap. I'm sure a lot of teams would have liked to grab Gonalons, but I feel like this has kind of gone under the radar. I haven't heard about it at all. I'm always browsing websites online, looking at the latest rumours, and he wasn't there. So it feels like Lyon and Roma have been, you know, talking pretty quietly behind every club's back and just getting the deal done. I think that could be a very good signing for Roma. He will slot into that midfield very well indeed. And I think Lyon need to get replacing him soon because he's been an integral part of their midfield for a few seasons now. Now, finally, it has been confirmed. This has been a transfer that's rumoured to be going on for weeks now, and Everton have completed the signing of Sandro from Malaga. It's taken forever. I don't know why. Maybe there was just some little things in the contract he wants to sort out, but he has moved. And Everton really have done very well in this transfer window so far. And most importantly, it's not just the players they've signed, but it's how fast they've got things done. This is pretty much the only signing I would say that's dragged on a little bit. Everything else has come through quite quickly. So Sandro, ex-Barcelona, looked very good at Barcelona. I'm not sure why he didn't quite make it, but clearly they felt like they had better options. He's moved over to Malaga, and he's looked good. And now he's coming to the Premier League. So I'm very excited to see how he gets on in the Premier League next season, and whether this really does mean Lukaku is on his way out from Everton. I think that's probably going to be it now. They've brought in plenty of players that kind of replace a big player like Lukaku. So I think it could be a done deal. Maybe Lukaku's going to end up at Manchester United. I know Bayern is still interested. Who knows what's going to happen there? But Everton have got their man, finally. I never thought I'd see the day, but it's official. John Terry has left Chelsea and he has signed for Aston Villa on a free transfer. And that, although I don't have high opinions of John Terry as a person, but as a player, fantastic. What a signing that is for a championship club to get a player with that experience. He may not be as mobile as he used to be. He may not be as fit as he used to be, but he's still got the brain on him. He's still got that experience and judgment. He will be fantastic for Aston Villa. And you know what? I'd put an early bet on Aston Villa coming up next season, not just because of John Terry, but I think I like the look of their squad. They're growing as a squad. They're getting older together. Players like Jack Grealish, for example. I think that John Terry in that team, in that changing room, could make a huge difference for them. Of course, it might not make a difference at all. He might barely play. He might get injured. Who knows? But John Terry is no longer a Chelsea player. I mean, it just blows my mind. He's been there for so long now, since I can remember. And, you know, this is an end of an era. It really is. He's a captain, a leader, and a legend for Chelsea. I don't know if he's instantly going to be given the captain's armband at Aston Villa, but they bloody should give him it because he will be a better captain than anyone else in that squad. Give him the captain armband, and let's see how he gets on at Aston Villa. Hopefully he can get into the team and get a nice run of games going, because I still believe John Terry's got it. I still think he's a brilliant player. And now, guys, on to our final confirmed transfer. We have Rodriguez from Southampton. He has moved to Liverpool. No, I'm just kidding. He's moved to West Brom, and that, I think, is a very interesting signing. I remember a couple of seasons ago when Southampton had that, you know, real core of great players, Lallana, for example. he was one of their better players, Rodriguez. I know he got his injury, he didn't play for pretty much a whole season, and since then he hasn't really been able to get back into that team. And I think moving to West Brom is a good shout. And I think West Brom are, you know, they're building a nice little team there. You can have Rodriguez on the left, and then you've got Phillips on the right. You've got some real pace and strength down the wings, and then Rondon up front. I mean, it's not a bad squad, and they've got a great manager behind them in Pulis. Is he still there? He is, isn't he? He is still there. He's just a masterclass in terms of just defending and making sure your team is strong and avoiding conceding and things like that. But going forward, this may just help them that little bit. Whereas Southampton, I know they've been busy in the window. They've brought in a few players. Rodriguez will be a miss. There's no doubt about it. It's another English player they've sold. But for once, it's not to Liverpool. They've actually sold to someone else. But anyway, any players that join Southampton, everyone just jumps on the meme. Oh, there'll be a Liverpool player in 2 seasons' time. But that is going to round up this video, guys. Round up the video, transfer roundup series. Yeah, how funny is that? Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like on the video. But most importantly, leave your feedback below. Leave me your comments. What do you think of some of these transfers? What do you think of John Terry going to Aston Villa? But Arsenal fans, Lacazette, Mbappe or Lemar, who would be your top choice?